Welcome to the Lift Your Story podcast with guest Jessica Malone, lifestyle design coach. Hi, everyone. I'm Lorianne. I'm that gal from Milton, Ontario, Canada, and I'm with.
I am that guy. I am Roy Miller from Dallas, Texas, and welcome to our Lift Your Story podcast.
In this episode, we're pleased to have Jessica Malone, and she is a lifestyle design coach. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, glad to have you. Okay, so let's talk about decluttering because that's a huge topic that tons of people are interested in.
Yes, absolutely. Minimalism or the idea of minimalism has blown up, right? So now everybody's talking about decluttering and organizing. And I think it's really important to just start from scratch and recognize that all of these things are actually just a little bit different from each other. They tend to get lumped into the same category, but decluttering is the action, of letting go. It's a tool that you can find yourself coming back to time and time and again, but does not require you to become a minimalist, right? Minimalism is really about paring down, I think, to the bare necessities in a lot of ways. And oftentimes it's more about design. People who are minimalist often like clear countertops. There's a certain way that they want their space to look, and minimalism lends itself well to that. And then you have organizing, which is really more of a focus on function. You can have a lot of stuff and still be organized. You can still have clutter and be organized, and so I think that differentiation really helps people to understand, well, where is it that I need help? I help people with the letting go, right? If they become minimalists, great. I am a bit of a minimalist myself. I downsized into a Sprinter van, and me and my fiance were traveling last year, so I definitely live a very minimal lifestyle, but I've also helped people declutter, and they live in huge homes. They just have the things that they truly need and nothing that doesn't serve them.
Yeah, I think we interviewed a guy back a few weeks ago, and in 1 week, he got rid of almost everything he owned.
Wow.
I mean, because he was the minimalist. I only need one of these, and he was saying that was the most freeing experience he's ever had, and he is so much happier
Mm-hmm.
since he
Yeah,
did it.
yeah, it's interesting that some of the things that we spend our lives trying to obtain are the same things that are keeping us from doing what we want. And so, like, for me, I had never owned a home. I just turned 30 this year, so I hadn't reached that stage in my life of owning a home and settling down. So the van really came at the right time. But when you think about it, once you own a home, you're kind of stationary, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's like, hey, I've got a mortgage to pay, I've got a lawn to tend to. There's so many things that keep you in the place where you choose to reside. And when you let go of everything, you're like, wow, I could be anywhere. I could be doing anything. Your money frees up, your time frees up, everything frees up. So I think that it surprises people that the things that they worked so hard for were the very things that maybe had been keeping them from doing what they wanted.
It's interesting you say that. It might have been Dave Ramsey. I can't remember, but I was listening to a podcast, and they were talking about. He said, "Well, people buy a home; it's an investment, and all this stuff." And he goes, "No, it's not." He said, "Get an apartment. You don't keep as much crap because you don't have any place to store it." He
Yep.
said, "If you want to move, it's not a big deal. You just move.
You just go.
It's not a big adventure because you don't have 4,000 square feet of stuff and 2-car garage full of stuff." And it was, I just thought that was an interesting perspective, is because,
Mm-hmm.
hey, like me, I live in the south part of town, but and so, hey, I want to move to Frisco. Well, I got to sell my house. I can't afford to live in Frisco, because I'm retired. But I mean, but maybe I could get an apartment up there. I don't know, but still,
Sure.
but it's not having this big, like you say, this whole house. And trust me, I got plenty of junk and clutter, but yeah, I think like you said, being able to get in the van and go.
Yeah, it's just so freeing, and there's downsides to everything.
Mhm.
There are days where I'm like, man, I miss the routine. I miss just having a regular bed. I made the bed in our van, and I'm not crafty, so that says a lot about our bed. But there are days where I miss that, but I think I'm just grateful that I had the opportunity to go and explore and see, what kind of life do I really want to live before I start settling down and putting all these roots and ending up feeling like now I got to go back and start all over again.
Yeah, I can just see her. I can see her and her fiance in the van having breakfast, and her going, "Boy, I wish I could go vacuum and dust, but there's nothing here to dust."
Well, it's funny because I went from 2,400 square feet with a big 2-car garage and everything, and the basement, of course, because you count the 2,400 is only the main floor. And then I had to, I lost my business and everything. And so I had to get rid of everything. It was just so weird having people come in. I go, just take it, just take it, just take it. Because I went down to 900 square feet.
Wow.
And then from there, I went down to 500. And from there, I went down to 400.
Wow. That's
Now
so impressive.
I'm back to 900, but but as I was getting smaller and like everyone's saying, isn't it hard? Isn't it hard? To a certain degree it is. But once it's done, it's like, yeah, like the only thing that keeps me behind really are my pets because they're hard. But other than that, if I just want to pack up and go, there's not enough here that I have to, worry about. And, you think about, alarm systems and being worried about all of that. It's,
yeah, it's very freeing.
It's like for me, we had a 4-bedroom house, it's 2,000 square foot house, just nothing, fancy, but we had the 4th bedroom, which was called a mother-in-law suite. Anyway, that was our junk room. That's where everything, well, put it back there. Put it back there, And it's like there's a little path to get in there, So in 2005, we started remodeling the house. We were going through this stuff, and we got married in 1971. And we had books that we had that we read in 1971. Been on that bookshelf back there, and I'm like,
wow,
what in the heck? We're never going to read these again. It's like it was such a wake-up call. Man, we have way too much crap in this house. So we've been trying to get rid of it. But the hardest thing is getting rid of stuff. I think because this belongs to my brother. This is my mom's. This is that's hard to deal with. But then finally, when you say okay, but it's not doing me any good.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where I think what I do, where I bring in lifestyle design and decluttering is really helpful and kind of special because, like you said, letting go is the hardest part. All of these emotions come up for us. We place so much value on the things that we own, outside of the financial value that we feel it has. But when you start thinking about, well, what kind of life do I want to live? That changes things because now you're looking at those books and you're saying, okay, yes, I really liked this book once, we've had this for such a long time, but if I want to be able to get up and go and we want to downsize, then now it's like, I have a strong reason to let go. I understand the why behind letting this item go.
Yeah. Well, just to give you an insight, we remodeled the house. And I would be inside, measure something. I'd go outside to cut it, and I'd come back in where the tape measure was outside. I needed the ends, so I got so frustrated. I told my wife, I said, go to Home Depot and buy me 6 tape measures.
There you go.
And she goes, really? I go, yeah, I have one in every room. I don't have to worry about it. And then hammers anyway. So she said, you're crazy. But anyway, so my brother, we were trying to do a little project. He goes, do you have a tape measure? My wife goes, are you kidding? You got 6 or 7 of them. But the problem was I couldn't find them. They're out in the garage. They're out there somewhere. My brother goes, you got a lot of tools. You just can't find them. I said,
oh, man. That's funny.
And so when we were interviewing someone else, they said, all right. She said, like screwdrivers. She said, how many Phillips screwdrivers do you have? I said, oh, several. She goes, well, how many do you really need? I said, well, when I was working, I needed all of those. She said, yeah, but do you need 15 Phillips screwdrivers?
Right.
I said, well, no, not really. She goes, so that's how you got to look at it.
Yeah.
I've got 12 of them, but I can get by with 2.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And the question that I like to ask is this serving me? Because we can always come up with good reasons for our things. But when we change that narrative just a little bit, is this serving me? It's like, okay, well, no, it actually isn't serving me to have all of these things. If I just find a home for this one thing, it'll be so easy for me to come back to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, it's like having something in your garage for 10 years. And one day you go, I'm just going to throw this away. I don't need this. And then a week later, that's the thing you want, the one thing you needed.
Of course.
I can't believe I just threw one of those away.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, when that happens, and I feel like it's a lesson in, I guess, almost ability for me, because that was one of my big fears. What if I have to reinvest in this? But then it came down to, do I want to live in this kind of scarcity mindset, or do I want to believe in abundance? So it was another layer, like, I'm going to let this go, and with the belief that I could acquire this again. I'll have the money, I'll have the time, it'll be available, and it has worked out that way. There are things I need, but that abundance has always been present. And I just love carrying that idea throughout other parts of my life.
What about clothes?
Clothes are really interesting. Something that a lot of people are surprised by when I talk to them about clutter is that every room in your home actually connects to a different part of your life. So your clothes or closet, which is where we mostly put our things, but sometimes we have them everywhere. But, our clothing is really a reflection of our self-image. So when I first started decluttering back in 2017, I was pretty overweight, and just frankly not very happy with my body or my life. And I was struggling with my own self-image. My self-esteem was really low. And lo and behold, as I went into the closet and I started decluttering, I found all of these things that were just not serving me. All these clothes that did not fit because I was fighting being, bigger than I'd like to be. But it's like, at the end of the day, hey, do you want to walk into a closet where the clothes fit? Or do you want to walk into a closet where they don't and beat yourself up about where you are, And so that's kind of the mindset that I take with clothes. Is like, what image are you trying to portray? Let's first get comfortable with where you are today, clothes that match your style, clothes that actually fit your body, right? And then from there, you can make some decisions. Do I want to stay here in this space or in this particular circumstance? Or do I want to make a change? But holding on to the past, holding on to where I think I'm going to be in 3 months, we have to let all that go. Just where are we today? And then you can make decisions about what the future holds.
So you got to focus on the now.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And even, it's that for me, weight loss was a big trigger, but I find that a lot of people also store a lot of items related to their childhood in their closet where they keep their clothes, and it's that same concept. Are you going to hold on to stuff and keep walking in here thinking, man, I used to be an athlete and now I'm not, man, I used to be XYZ person and now I'm not. Let's just get comfortable with where you are right now, here today. We don't need these constant reminders of what we should or could or would have been. We just are, and then we can make a decision moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, we had all the papers, all the stories, all the drawings, all the report, all that stuff, trophies, plaques, and so when the kids got married, you know what? Let's take a box of this up when we go visit.
There you go.
And so every time we went, we'd take a box of whatever. And then my oldest son had a ton of trophies. They're up in the attic. I said, hey, Chris, you got all these trophies, do you want them? He said, throw that stuff away, Dad. I said, well, do you want one? Is there one, like, you got this MVP plaque? Do you want to keep that for your kids? No, throw that crap away. So I threw it away.
Yep.
But, at least I told him, I said, this is yours. You can throw it away. You can shred it, whatever, but it's yours. We kept it for you. And, it's up to you to do with it, but we're not going to store it for you. You have a house now. Welcome. You can store your own stuff.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's great. My parents, sometimes they hold on to things and they're like, well, we're keeping this for our grandchildren. And I'm like, listen, I don't even know how many kids I'm going to have, but I'm pretty sure they're not going to care. Like they're going to be onto something new. But I love that you took it to him and said, hey, do you want this? Right? Because we really have those connections, and you can't really say to someone else what it means to them. So giving them that opportunity, I think, is just the perfect way to handle that scenario.
Well, I had a bunch of stuff when I was a kid, like baseball cards, football cards, comic books, that would
Mm-hmm.
be worth a ton of money. But when I moved
Mm.
out, my parents just threw it away.
Oh
I
man.
went back later to get it, and I said, "Hey, oh, we threw that away when you moved out."
Oh man.
So anyway. So I thought, I'm not going to do that to my kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let them throw it out. I'm not going to
Yeah.
throw it out.
And that's the way to do it for sure.
So, but yeah, we keep those memories. They're important to us. And my thought was always, well, when you have kids, they want to see this, and they're like, throw it away, Dad.
Yeah.
We took pictures. We had tons of pictures. Here's some, so we go, hey, look at your dad. The grandkids go, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Someday they'll be important to you.
exactly. Yeah, like at my age now, I love looking back at photos of my parents when they were younger. But when I was a kid, it was like, all right, whatever. My parents are old, That's all I could register.
It was funny. There's a story of when I had to downsize, and I had all of these gowns, and you're talking about letting go. And because I used to go to a lot of functions at one time, at this point I'd moved into the industry, automotive industry. I wasn't going out to those galas and stuff. So I thought, okay, get rid of all of those. And then of course I walked into the Salvation Army one day, and there was one of my dresses. I'm going, oh, and you're thinking of buying it back.
Yeah. I've had that happen to me before. I'm like, man, that's such a cute shirt. I should get it back. I should buy it.
I stopped myself, but I'm thinking, no, keep moving.
Oh
Yeah.
man, that's funny.
What about photos? When you're doing that, what about photos? I think that would be a hard thing to deal with as well.
Yeah, photographs are tough. I try to go through different phases with photography. Sometimes we go through our photos and we realize like, okay, I have 5 of the same photo here. I just took it 1 second apart. So I start with that, narrowing down all of the duplicates, all of the photos that are just bad. I can't tell you how many times I've looked it back in my phone and realized, okay, this was a terrible photo. It's blurry or whatever. So that's kind of where I like to start with the easy stuff. And then from there, really thinking about how do you want to store them? Do you scrapbook, right? Are you going to go through the trouble of scrapbooking? If not, it might make sense to look and say, which photos best represent this moment in time, and narrow it down to those few. So you get to keep the memory and the nostalgia of it, but you don't have to hold on to 50 photos from that trip to Disney World. You know what I mean?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I was looking through some photos just a couple of days ago. I remember I was looking for something anyway. So I'm looking up, I open this envelope up, and there's all these landscape pictures. I have no idea where it was, when it was. It was a bunch of trees and mountains. And I'm like, Barbara, you know what this is? I'm thinking, why do I have these?
Yep. Yeah,
Right?
I do that
You know
too.
what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It's like it, and that's I think where the next step happens is, okay, what's the habit change? Because I don't want to sift through 1,000 photos again. I never want to have to do this ever again. So then you think, okay, next time I'm out, and I do this all the time, especially with us traveling in the van. I find myself taking all these pictures of mountains, and then I'm like, how many mountain photos do you need? And do you even need a mountain photo? Because you're not going to remember this specific place 20 years from now, right? And so then I start changing my habits around, what do I actually care to take a picture of? What are the things that are going to be important to me when I can't even remember where I was anymore?
Yeah.
So I would imagine for pictures though, like for, old fogies like Roy and I, okay, we don't feel that old, but we used to do the, take them in, get them processed.
Yes.
I've downsized that too quite a bit, but I still have a box of them. What I did with a lot is some of them, I just took pictures of them digitally, and then I guess you can process them. I would imagine that that's what you would do to help people to reduce that clutter as well. Although some people still want to hold on to those pictures, but
yeah, it depends on the person. And that's why I say, think about, how do you actually want to store them? If you're not a scrapbooker, then it makes more sense to digitize them. Let's get them scanned in. Let's get a digital photo album, and place them somewhere where you can see them. I'm also a huge proponent of really honoring our things. You want to take those photos. Let's not just put them in a box. Let's actually put them somewhere where you can flip through them again. What's the point of sifting through all of them if we're going to put them in a box and store them back in the closet? You know what I mean? So let's get them in a scrapbook. Let's make them look good and put them out on the coffee table, or let's digitize them and put them in the living room somewhere. So now you get to see these memories over and over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah. That was our theory. We put them in a box. When we retire, we'll have plenty of time. We'll put them in albums. Not happening.
That's so funny. Yeah, it's funny, we come up with all these fantastical ideas for what we're going to do, and that's why, again, it's like, what am I willing to do with it right now? Let's just focus on the now, and later we'll see where it goes. But if I'm not scrapbooking today, I'm not going to scrapbook in 10 years. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So so all right, I'm gonna have to throw this out there. I'm gonna tell myself.
Okay.
I'm a piler before I become a filer. Okay.
Okay.
So I pile stuff up, and then when it starts falling over, then I'll go and file it.
Mm-hmm.
And so everybody says, well, don't touch this piece of paper more than once.
Yes.
You got it. You put it up. You shred it. You whatever. And my wife will come in looking for something, and she'll say, what are you looking for? Oh, it's not in that. It's not. How do you know? This pile's 10 foot tall. How do you know it's not in there? You don't even know what's in there. I said, well, you're right. I probably don't know what's in there, but I know what you're looking for is not in there. So go through every single piece until it wasn't in there. I told you.
That's so funny. You sound like me. Years ago, I realized like I love, or I don't know if love, but I guess thrive in organized chaos. Like it might look like a mess, but I do know everything that's in there, and I know what you're looking for is not there. I just don't know what exactly is in it. But yeah, with paper clutter, the one touch rule I think is a great rule. But I think it comes down to, again, starting off with like, what are the things that we really need to be holding on to? There is some stuff like tax returns. I tend to hold on to my tax returns for several years and then go through the process of getting rid of them. But really, really setting some guidelines around what is it that I'm willing to hold on to. And going back to that idea of just the freedom that you feel as we set these systems in place and go through the process of decluttering, now it just comes down to habit change. If I were to say, okay, I only hold on to tax files and I don't even know what else, maybe certain types of things I get in the mail, then it's like, this is time I have freed up. I don't have to sit around shredding things all the time. I don't have to worry about having to go through this and spend hours going through a pile later. I can free up this time to focus on some other opportunity. Or even for a lot of us, when we have paper clutter, it keeps us from doing the things that we need to accomplish in our office space or wherever we do our work, because sometimes our living room doubles as that space. So having those guidelines will help you get through the decluttering phase, but also help you better manage the space so you can feel comfortable and say, wow, I could actually get some work done in here. I'm not overwhelmed looking at all of the things. So that's kind of what I focus on. What is the stuff that I should actually keep? What do I know I'm going to trash every single time? And then what are the things that I need to take a look at? I take that stuff and I write down a time and a date in my calendar to actually look at it, do it, and then move on. So that in that instance, it's not always one touch, but I know, all right, I'm going to handle this on Thursday, and then it'll be done and it's out of the house.
I used to have a box like income tax 2020, right? Whatever.
Right.
And everything we did that year, I would put in that box. And so my wife goes, why are we keeping 12 cable bills, 12 electric bills? She said, why do you keep that the tax stuff? Well, it's last year, I may need it. So now I just, at the end of the year, I shred all that stuff.
There you go.
I just keep the stuff that relates to taxes and I shred everything else.
Yeah, there you go. And I think that's what it comes down to. Again, there's that differentiator between decluttering and minimalism. Minimalism says, oh no, we can't have all this paper, right? But decluttering is like, here's the system that I'm going to use, and I'll continually take the stuff out and let it go and use this tool as I see fit.
Yeah. I mean, I'm turning the corner. I'm not on the road yet, but I'm slowly turning the corner.
Sure. Yeah. And that's where, again, connecting with that why is so important. We talk about lifting your story, and that was the game changer for me, because it was like, all right, I want to travel more. I want to quit my job and be an entrepreneur. I want to do all of these things. what do I need to hold on to right now for where I am today? And what do I need to let go so I can make my way forward towards those goals? Right. So for you all, you're renovating, right? But if you were downsizing, that would give you a totally different perspective. So I think it really comes back to that. What's the why behind doing this?
Yeah. Yeah. So Jessica, how can our listeners reach out to you?
So they can find me at nachoaveragefro.com. That's NACHO averagefro.com. That's my business name. I don't have my fro out today, but normally I would. And they can also use that same handle on Instagram at nachoaveragefro. And I share tips on decluttering and understanding the why behind the clutter and how you can leverage it to build the life you love.
Oh, I love that.
Thank you.
That's a perfect catchy. You can't forget that one.
You can't at all. And when you see the logo, you're even more blown away. It's like me with a nacho chip in my hair. Because it's funny, I started a food blog before I started talking about decluttering. And I wanted to kind of bring those elements together as a part of my life design. So yeah, it's a fro with a nacho chip in it. It's my logo.
That's lovely.
Oh, that's good. Lorianne,
It was
do you have
wonderful
anything?
having you. I'm good. I always find every time after thinking about cluttering, of course, now talking about it, I'm going to look at that table. It's got to go.
Yeah, there you go. Because you're like, why?
Right?
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. And think of what you'll be able to use that space for physically and mentally. You just won't have to worry about it anymore.
So be expecting a thank you card from Lori sometime.
I will.
Okay. Well, Jessica, thanks a lot for being with us. Appreciate it. It was lovely to meet you.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. This was great.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode. Be sure to visit us at lifterstory.com.